Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently working on some of our long-term missions here. We've got 56 days on our auxiliary module, we've got 291 days on our Griffin 3L, and most soon, I guess I would say, is we've got 7 days on our Eve science rover. So we're going to go ahead and fly that, because our maneuver node is coming up the fastest. So we have a lot of DV in this. I guess we may as well grab this and transmit this science. I think there's no real reason not to. Not in range. Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to need to get aligned to this maneuver node, for sure. And what exactly are we doing at this maneuver node? Ah, we're just changing our inclination. Okay. That's fine. So we're not actually wanting to align to the maneuver node? Are we wanting to go normal or anti-normal? It's been sufficiently long that I've forgotten. We'll find out. We want to go anti-normal, it looks like. Yes. Anti-normal is the way to go for us. So we are going to position ourselves at the anti-normal node. We'll physics warp our turn. There we go. Fantastic. Technically, this maneuver node is kind of at the wrong time. I'm gonna move it ahead a little. Oh, we can't move it. We don't currently have any probe control. You know what? We could just remove it, potentially. Nope, we can't do that. I'm surprised that we don't have probe control from here. I really thought our antenna would be able to reach from there. Apparently not. Where is our antenna? On this side. 500K is our antenna rating. Fair enough. I mean, we are going to have connection from Eve, for sure, because we have a ComSat over there. But can we fire? We can. Okay. Sounds good. So we are going to ignore this maneuver node, and we are just going to warp over this way towards this ascending node. I really wish we could remove this maneuver node. We're going to have to eyeball it because this maneuver node is here, actually. Well, we're going to warp ahead about another day. We're going to warp ahead about another day. Okay, we're going to have to do that manually, too. That's a little disgusting. This is going to be really rough to line up. Okay. Well, we'll just have to eyeball it. Or should we just burn this? You know what? We'll just burn this. It's not quite at the ascending node, but it should get us close enough. Okay. That should get our inclination. Yeah, that's close enough. Now the next question is, without a communications satellite, how exactly are we going to set up a maneuver for a rendezvous with Eve? That's going to be interesting. We may have to hope that we can get a connection with the Raven 1S around this point, around the descending node. The solar gateway is over there. I think we just need to warp a little bit and see if we can get a connection. We're slightly inside the orbit of Kerbal. So Kerbal actually should be falling behind us right now. So Kerbal is not really a good option. But I think we need to just leave this for now and come back to it, because it's going to be a longer warp than we actually have to spare. So we're going to hop into the tracking station here, and we are going to look at our other things that we've got going on. So this is in 37 days for the auxiliary module. We'll go ahead and fly that, and we'll warp ahead, and hopefully we won't have to completely wing the lander rendezvous at Eve. That would be awkward. But for right now, let's take a look at this maneuver node. It looks like we are simply doing a prograde burn to get some distance between us and the solar gateway so that our orbits... Well, actually, we're just pushing out beyond its orbit. Okay. That's fine. We'll just get oriented here. And we'll physics warp that turn. Close enough. We'll warp ahead about 34 days. And in the meantime, we'll keep a bit of an eye on the Science Rover Mark Eve. But realistically, it's going to be a while before we can do anything with that. We are getting quite a lot of science back from Ike's surface. So that's always nice. This warp is not going amazingly quickly. Actually going to cancel that auto warp. And we're going to warp to next maneuver. That's still not going very quickly. Okay. Now we'll warp to next maneuver, now that going at 10,000x isn't so bad. Okay, this is a 2-minute, 11-second burn. So we want to burn this at T minus 1 minute and 5.5 seconds. We'll just get aligned up for that. There we go. And we will warp forward towards 1 minute and 5.5 seconds. And we will burn this right about now. Excellent. So our refueled exploration upper stage is going to be burned out from this, and we're going to be operating just on our refueled module stage, I guess we could call that. And that is, of course, the reason why we have this Poodle engine in here. It's definitely not necessary for getting to Minmus, but for getting to the Solar Gateway, this might very well be necessary. Although in retrospect, maybe not. I mean, we're going to have to decouple this, right? That's going to be a thing. But I'm just talking about this module is not intended to come back. But if we were going to bring a module back, we would not want it to have this interstage. So that's definitely something to consider. We're getting so much science from Ike. Like, that is definitely going to max out our tree. And it also bears noting that at some point, we're going to have to put an end to this particular series. And I think that point is when we finish this contract. It's going to take a few more things docking up, in theory. Like, one more thing, actually. But I think that's a good start, for sure. So we're going to be ditching this stage in just a moment. And we definitely don't want to have this engine in our transit network. So we'll ditch this stage right about now. Now. Okay, it required 2 stagings. I don't know why, but we'll go with it. Okay. So our apoapsis is about where it should be. We'll call that good. So the question now is... Let's see, that's our target orbit. If we focus on the sun to be able to get around here easier, at the apoapsis, let's see, negative 0.1, that's fine. What's our actual distance here? That's relatively close. We might be able to make that up with a little bit of extra burning. Like, for example, if we were to burn something like that, but over here, perhaps? And a little retrograde. Maybe this way slightly. Hello. That's a lot of delta V. But that's close. That's a really high relative speed, though. I'm not okay with that relative speed. So, instead, we may have to add in an orbit. That got us a lot closer. What if we add in 2? That's really close. I mean, it looks really close. But, hello. That's a very, very close separation there. And see how much better that relative speed is? And we can continue to bring this down a little bit. Down to about 2,000 kilometer separation. Maybe tweak this slightly. Nope. Looks like this is about the best we're going to get. Can maybe do a little bit of radial tweaking. No. Normal tweaking, then. Yep. Normal direction is the direction we need to go. Looks like that's about the closest we're going to get. 700 kilometers apart. That's manageable, though. That's super manageable, and only a relative speed of 400 meters per second. Okay, that's going to be a pretty long wait. So, we'll hop on back to the Space Center. And let's take a look at our next options. We should check mission control. Science data from surface of Ike. That will just happen. Okay. We'll call that good for now. And let's check the tracking station here. What do we have? We've got 3 years. We've got, for the Griffin 3L, about 234 days. So I think we'll go back to the science rover and see if we can't get some level of connection. No? Okay. I'd love to delete this maneuver. Yeah, that's not gonna work. We would have to manually run this, for sure. The Raven 1S is actually falling towards us right now, but I'm not sure it's falling quickly enough to actually be useful. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. Okay, let's reset this as our target. We should let Eve catch up a little bit. I'm just boosting us ahead because we have a few hundred days before we need to do anything. And the real question is, should we make our orbit a little bit more elliptical? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. We should definitely make our orbit a little bit more elliptical. So we're going to bring this down towards Eve, just with a quick retrograde burn here, and we're probably just going to burn out this stage. before we call it good. Something along the lines of this. How much more burn time do we have in this? 10 seconds? Yeah, this will be fine. Okay. Fantastic. So we will now ditch this stage. Off it goes. Successful stage separation. And I'm just kind of shocked at how far this stage brought us. But we should now start catching up with Eve nicely, in theory. I really wish we could get rid of this maneuver. But we can't, so instead we'll hop back to the Space Center, and we'll do any additional warping there, for now. We'll hop into the tracking station. Actually, I should have checked the contracts first. We'll double check the contracts. New orbital station around Ike. Not too interested in that. Science data from space around Eve. I think we can do that. And if we can't, we will be able to do that. Surface of Duna, we'll get that. But let's just work on finishing off some of our top-level science here. Let's grab RTGs. Fantastic. That will reduce our reliance on direct sunlight dramatically. And I think, at this point, we need to check on what's going on in the Eve system. So, in Eve, we've got Gilly out there, and we've got a communication satellite in orbit around Eve. Perfect. So we'll fly this Raven 0H. And all we need to do is transmit back a little bit of... We have 2 seismic accelerometers? You know what? That's weird. Is this a barometer? No. Is there not a thermometer on this? Why would I have not included a thermometer? Well, once we get to Eve, this means that we will be able to communicate back to Kerbal with our rover. So that's fine. The real issue here is that apparently I didn't include a thermometer that I can find. And for some reason there are double seismic accelerometers on this. Was that a contract? That doesn't seem like the kind of thing that I would do. I may have made a mistake, but that was definitely not intentional. Look how much TV this has. That's insane. But that means that we'll have to complete the space around Eve portion of this with the rover, which I guess is okay. So let's hop back to the Space Center again. And the question is, can we get a rover encounter? But first, well, actually the question is, can we get rover data? That's the important thing. So first things first, let's check in on how long we have on our outstanding missions. 191 days on the Griffin 3L. That's probably what we're going to do next. We're just going to advance time here for a little while. Uh-huh. 130 days. Okay, so yep, the Griffin 3L is definitely going to be what we're going to do next. So we'll fly this. And this is another, essentially, I want to call it a phasing burn, but that's not exactly what it is. It's actually pretty close to the Solar Gateway. I wonder how close they were. Right here. Could we have docked this thing to the Solar Gateway if it had a docking port? It doesn't. But that would have been entertaining. Let's align for this burn, because it looks like we're not going to be getting any data from the probe for a little while yet, seeing as the probe is currently here, and it's going to be going at least to here before it gets data. But once it gets over here, we're going to do another retrograde burn to bring it down close to the orbit of Eve, so that it will eventually intersect. So, for right now, I think we will just need to warp to our next maneuver here. Excellent. We're just going to warp ahead a few days. And by that I mean 100 days. Because I want to get some of these long-term missions finished up. Well, that's doing reasonably well. Okay, so this is a 1 minute 25 second burn, and we want to burn this at T minus 30 plus 12.5 seconds, so 42.5 seconds. We'll go ahead and warp towards that. Basically right now. Excellent. Just lowering our apoapsis down to about here, in hopes that by the time we get over here, we'll be able to catch up to Earth relatively easily. I mean, we're exactly... Why do I say Earth? It's Kerbal. We are just trying to get home, and this is kind of going to make it worse, in a way. In a weird sort of way. We're not going to go all the way to where this has, actually, because that's going to make us catch up quite a lot slower. I just wanted to clear the Duna orbit. We'll call this good. Okay, so, if we were to burn around the apoapsis here, take it retrograde, where would we be? Quite far off. Okay. What if we added an orbit? That's pretty close. Now that I think I can work with. What just happened? Not sure what just happened. We will restart this, and we'll do a retrograde burn, like that. We'll add an orbit. There we go. And we'll just see about getting an encounter here. Aw, yeah. It's not even that much DV. Fantastic. What's this encounter look like? That is workable. We'll want to bring this down to... See, that's going up. We'll want to bring this down to be much closer here. Okay, about like that. And then we'll need some anti-normal, looks like. Tossed in there. And we are aiming for a relatively low thing here. We're going to aim just for 60 kilometers. Like that. Just dipping in the atmosphere. And we're going to be burning basically the whole way, trying to get our speed down. This may take multiple aerobrake passes. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going home. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. We'll have about 650 meters per second to break with, so that'll be great. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and next episode, we are going to try, and probably fail, to bring that rover to Eve. Oh, that's going to be great. See you all next time.